Welcome to this explainer. If you are sitting the Cambridge Information Technology 9626 exams, or honestly, even if you're tackling the 0417, 0478, 2210, or 9618 computer science papers, you already know the sheer pressure of that ticking clock. You open that paper and suddenly, boom, you are faced with a massive wall of complex data and incredibly intricate scenarios. It's overwhelming, right? But what if I told you that navigating this whole mess isn't about rote memorization? It's actually about magic. Okay, well, not actual magic with wands and potions, but structural frameworks that act exactly like magic spells. Because when you cast the right spell in the exam hall, you unlock maximum marks. It's really that simple. Today, we are looking at the absolute ultimate test of your exam wizardry, topic 18.1, excluding recipients using conditional fields. We are going to deconstruct, step by step, exactly how top-tier students systematically process data and secure every single mark available to them.
Okay, let's dive right into this because this is the question that literally keeps candidates up at night. You know the syllabus inside and out, you've done all the reading, but when the results finally come out, there is this massive gulf between a good grade and an elite grade. So what is it? Is it just knowing more raw facts? Is it typing faster on the practical? No way. The truth is far more specific than that. The difference between a solid B and that highly coveted A star isn't about raw intelligence, it is entirely about precision. It's about how you handle the absolute highest stakes sections of the practical and theoretical applications. And in the IT 9626 syllabus, there is one specific, highly technical area that acts as the ultimate gatekeeper to those top grades.
Just listen to this incredible insight, which comes directly from a Cambridge senior examiner. They said, the difference between a B and an A star in information technology often comes down to how well you understand 18.1, excluding recipients using conditional fields. Think about that for a second. An entire grade boundary, the difference between missing your university offer and getting in, often hinges on your mastery of conditional fields. Why is that? Well, because excluding recipients using conditional fields demands a perfect synthesis of absolutely everything Cambridge wants to see from you. It requires logical deduction, technical accuracy, strict formatting discipline, and a deep understanding of real-world context. If you can master this one specific topic, you essentially prove to the examiner that you are, without a doubt, an A-star candidate.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what goes wrong for so many students in the exam hall. Let me introduce you to our two archetypal students, Alex and Sam. Take Alex's approach on the left. Alex is a super hard worker, right? But Alex overloads the answer with raw, unstructured computer science facts. It is a complete brain dump. There's no formatting, no analytical breakdown, no clear peel structure, just a massive wall of text that a tired examiner has to painfully sift through. Naturally, the red pen marks are everywhere. Now look at Sam over on the right. Sam sees the exam timer ticking down, goes into pure panic mode, and rushes the entire thing. Sam might actually get the technical command right, but completely misses the command word requirements and the highly specific context of the question. A generic answer in an A-level exam is a doomed answer, period. Neither of these students is casting the right spell because they totally lack a structural framework.
So, what exactly are these spells we need to master? Well, topic 18.1 focuses entirely on conditional fields. By definition, this is the precise, calculated application of three very specific commands: if then else, skip record if, and next record if. Now, I want you to stop thinking of these as just boring buttons you click in a database or some mail merge software. They aren't. They are logical arguments used to systematically process and exclude data recipients. If then else allows you to beautifully branch your logic. If a specific condition is true, you do one thing, otherwise you do another. Skip record if acts like a bouncer at a club, stopping a specific entry entirely based on a parameter you set. And next record if pulls the subsequent data line into the current process if a certain condition is met. Treating these three distinct conditional commands as your absolutely essential toolkit is the very first step to mastering this exam. To truly master these spells, you have to get out of passive reading mode and hit play on active, targeted practice. It is just not enough to highlight the syllabus. You need to engage with the material and actively test these commands in real-world scenarios. Before we continue, subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCS to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now. Because when you sit down with a database and actually apply these concepts, you are building the exact muscle memory required to execute these techniques flawlessly when the exam pressure is on.
Okay, so this right here is where your conceptual understanding meets practical point-scoring application. Top-performing students don't just memorize definitions. They know exactly which spell to cast based on a specific matrix of scenarios. Let's break it down. If an exam question asks you to insert a specific 20% discount code only for loyal customers, but leave that space totally blank for newer ones, you are looking at a classic if-then-else scenario. But what if the scenario explicitly states to not generate a letter at all, like don't even print it, for customers with a zero account balance? That is your absolute clear-cut cue to cast skip record if. And if you need to consolidate multiple different records onto a single page or label under certain conditions, you're invoking next record if. The examiners purposely design these scenarios to test your connected conceptual understanding. They are begging to see you apply the right tool to completely unfamiliar contexts.
And this brings us to the ultimate procedural framework. Seriously, think of this as your wizard's grimoire. Whenever you face a chunky 10-mark question on conditional fields, you must forcefully follow this standardized sequence. Step 1, deconstruct the question. What is the actual command word? Are they asking you to evaluate, analyze, or just describe? Step 2, extract the relevant data from the messy scenario they gave you. Step 3, select your framework. This is where you bring in the PEL framework, point, evidence, explanation, link. Never skip that. Step 4, execute with crystal clear notation. Show the examiner your logical operators. And finally, step 5, present the whole thing using correct, highly specific, syllabus-approved terminology. By strictly and unapologetically following this standardized sequence, you are practically guaranteeing yourself all the process marks, even if your final database output has a tiny glitch.
Climbing to that A star isn't going to happen by accident, and it certainly isn't an overnight jump. It requires a scheduled, highly systematic approach to your revision. Stop scrolling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE, to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to @acetheexams_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions. Every single time you practice our standardized sequence, you are hardwiring your brain for success.
So if the framework is so incredibly clear and the spells are so neatly defined, why on earth do we see so much red ink on these exam papers every single year? Well, imagine the immense pressure of the exam hall. The clock is ticking, the invigilator is pacing, and suddenly, under all that stress, candidates just completely forget their methodology. Their minds go blank. We have thoroughly analyzed the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports across multiple years, and honestly, they are incredibly revealing. The examiners are practically begging students to stop making the exact same basic, unforced errors over and over again. Let's look at exactly what is tripping up thousands of well-prepared candidates every single session so you can make sure you aren't one of them. Here they are, the top 3 biggest mistakes straight from the Principal Examiner reports that will instantly, without a doubt, cost you your A star. Mistake number 1, forgetting the proper format entirely. Students will perfectly explain the logic of a skip record if command, but they completely fail to write it in the correct syntax required by the software context. Mistake number 2, failing to check format and presentation. This means they actually get the condition right, but they throw away marks because of dumb spacing errors, missing speech marks around text criteria, or using the wrong field brackets. And mistake number 3, which is honestly the most fatal of all, answers lacking specific context. Writing "it skips the record" gets you exactly 0 marks, but writing the skip record if field excludes the recipient because their membership status field equals expired gets you full marks. To avoid this trap forever, use a simple memory hack. FPC. Format, presentation, context. Fix, perfect, contextualize. Write FPC at the top of your paper. Let's actually see how this FPC hack builds a totally perfect response. Look at the flawed, incredibly generic answer on the left. Use skip record to not send the letter to people who didn't pay. It is absolutely covered in red pen. Why? Because there are no field names, 0 logical operators, and the terminology is horribly generic. Now shift your attention to the A-structured answer on the right. Just look at those beautiful green check marks. It perfectly follows our Peel and Grimoire frameworks. It reads, to exclude unpaid recipients, a skip record if conditional field is applied. The condition is set where the field payment status equals unpaid. This systematically excludes these specific data recipients from the final merge, ensuring efficient processing. Look at that transformation. It's night and day. It has the correct format, precise syllabus terminology, and highly specific context. It leaves the examiner literally no choice but to award you full marks.
Now, if there is one single overarching philosophy you take away from this entire explainer, please let it be this: the method mark strategy. This is your absolute, unbreakable safety net in Cambridge exams.
You have to remember that information technology and computer science papers are fundamentally designed to test your process, your logical and systematic thinking. Way too many students stare at a massive complex database question, get totally intimidated by what the final desired output is supposed to look like, and they just panic and leave the page blank. Never, ever do this. Marks in Cambridge exams are heavily, heavily weighted toward the process itself, not just the final shiny result.
So the absolutely crucial point here is summarized perfectly by this direct examiner alert. It says, students lose marks by not showing working. Even if your final answer is wrong, method marks can save you. Think about how powerful that is. When you're sweating over a complex, nested if-then-else statement, write down your logical steps. Annotate your thought process on the paper. Because listen, if you accidentally put a greater than sign instead of a less than sign right at the very end, but you've clearly shown the examiner that you understand how to structure the conditional field, how to properly reference the data source, and how to format the output, you are still going to capture the vast majority of the method marks. Showing you're working step by step through our procedural framework is your absolute safeguard against having a bad day in the exam hall. To consistently secure those elusive, higher-order assessment objective marks, you need a critical analysis mantra. And here it is. Deconstruct, solve, evaluate. First, you deconstruct, identify the given information. What are the exact specific parameters of the recipients you need to exclude? Second, you break it down into logical steps. Which conditional spell from our toolkit is actually appropriate here? Third, you solve it systematically using your perfect FPC syntax. Fourth, you evaluate by checking for reasonableness. If I run this next record if command, will it actually format the labels correctly, or will it completely misalign the database output? And finally, make justified recommendations. Sometimes a tricky question will ask you to compare two approaches. You must be able to confidently articulate exactly why a conditional field in a mail merge is vastly more efficient than manually filtering a database query beforehand. This specific level of deep evaluation is exactly what the A-star boundary demands from you.
Consistency is your greatest tool. It is all about approaching every single data scenario with the exact same rigorous, structured mindset we've broken down today. Students who implement these computer science strategies see an average improvement of 2 grade boundaries, but only if they practice consistently with our weekly videos. Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCS to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now to at acetheexams_IGCS and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by. Drop a comment below with your target grade for computer science and the biggest challenge you're facing. Our team responds to every comment. Like and share this video with a study partner. Ace the Exams. Your Cambridge success starts here.
The frameworks we've discussed today, the 3 conditional spells, the wizard's grimoire, the Peel structure, and that FPC memory hack, these are your absolute keys to unlocking those method marks and avoiding the generic, sloppy pitfalls that trap so many candidates every year. But knowing the theory is really only half the battle. Flawless execution is everything. So as you open your very next past paper, I want you to ask yourself, what is your true target grade for IT 9626? And what is the single biggest challenge you are still facing when it comes to mastering these conditional fields? Figure that out, attack it systematically with the tools we gave you today, and you will become the master of your exam. Keep practicing and stay intensely focused.